What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Nerdporial After Show. I'm your host, Brian, the Nerdporial Life Form, also known as the Admiral. And with me is my special guest, Tim's Talk. How you doing?
Pretty good. How's it going, everyone?
What'd you think of tonight's episode? I thought this episode was freaking. I liked this episode. I don't know if it was as good as last week's, but I felt there was a lot of emotional weight. They were really building up to something. I can appreciate that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Thanks for having me on. As I think it's my first time on your channel, but yeah, it was very bittersweet at the end. That's what I liked with Claire at the end and the dynamic, and I liked the honesty or objectiveness from Isaac as always. I think it works well with her because Paul was her love interest, and they had that nice little talk there, which I thought was pretty funny.
Oh
But
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. So this is your first time for your first time streaming with me. I know you're a big Star Wars guy. Obviously, you do a lot of Kylo Ren stuff. But are you do you have a lot? Do you have a like Star Trek history or anything like that? Do you big into Star Trek at all?
Not super huge, but I could see myself getting more and more into it. Obviously, like what mainly I've seen is the original trilogy, or not original trilogy, the original seasons. You know, I still think those are the best. I've seen all the movies. I haven't seen New Trek because of you all talking about it. I know Mr. Spock on doesn't like it, and Robert Meyer Burnett. I listened to him passionately talk about why it's not good. So I'm like, oh, okay, I think I'll step back here and maybe I'll watch it one day.
Yeah, I mean the Orville more closely resembles original Trek, even TNG and Deep Space Nine to a degree, even Voyager, than the new stuff out now, in my opinion. If you like the new stuff, you like Stranger Worlds, that's fine. Stranger Worlds is definitely an improvement. So, but you know what I did notice? There's a lot. It's becoming more and more like Star Wars. Like the space battles are like the Orville is way more maneuverable than the Enterprise ever has been. So you're seeing like almost like Star Wars level ship battles, like the
Yeah,
an Identity Part Two. There was a lot of Deep Space Nine, but there was also a lot of Star Wars,
yeah,
and they're really building up the Kalon to be this big threat. Like the finale, when in the alternate timeline, the road not taken, it felt like the Kalon were the Empire taking on a secret Union base, and the Union base looked a lot like the Yavin base in the original Star Wars. So I'm starting to see references to Star Wars. So it's not just a Star Trek thing; it's also building to become more like the original Star Wars. And of course, McFarlane obviously is a big fan. If you've seen the Family Guy specials where they did the original trilogy, which I thought were hilarious. Um,
yeah.
I feel like they're kind of doing that a little bit of that too. But yeah, this was this episode was very Star Trek and it was very horror based. Like I saw sprinkle of Alien. I saw sprinkles of Event Horizon.
Oh yeah.
And there was a TNG episode called Evolution where people get like de-evolved and they become their more their pre-evolved forms. They're more
Oh
uh
yeah. Animalistic
primitive
forms. Yeah.
forms, and some of them turn into like Worf turned into like a fly looking thing. So seeing the Admiral, spoiler alert, the Admiral turning into a fly made me think of that. But the episode wasn't nearly as horror based as this one was. This one was pure horror. Um so I have it all written down. I wrote down everything that happens in the episode. So you ready to go dig deep into it?
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. I want to mention real quick. Yeah. The original Fly movie, or just like the Fly movie, this is what this reminded me of as far as like the love interest in that. He goes full fly mode, and I think it's his love interest that has to kill him.
Oh
Um,
yeah, that's right. Gina
yeah,
Davis.
yep.
I have to watch The Fly again. It's been a long time since I've watched Jeff Goldblum turn into that. The last time I saw Jeff Goldblum turn into something. So
Yeah.
all right, so all right, let's get before we get started. I want to say hello to Brandon, the anime guys here. He's like, damn, that was good. And Lovecraftian horror. Yep, the alien, the unknown, the demonic parts of space. Very Stephen Kingish too. And we got Walter White Gaming. Wow. I wonder if Walter White Gaming is the danger to all gamers. We'll find out. So, all right. So, Shadow Realms, here we go. So, the first scene, and it's got some great music. I love the Orville. I love the musical choices. It's very Star Trek, old Star Trek. And we get this once again another majestic shot of the Orville. I mean, the Orville is a character just like the Enterprise and Voyager and Deep Space Nine were on their respective shows. So we get this little meeting with Ed and Kelly and the rest of the crew. We find out that they're supposed to pick up an admiral from this outpost, and they're supposed to be going into peace talks, going into some sort of talks with the Krill. So apparently there is a corridor of space that they need to permission to use in order to explore further out into that part of the region. Well, they end up meeting up with the Krill. They have a gathering, and of course, the Krill act very alien, which I actually respect because one thing I've seen about New Trek is how human how aliens act very 21st century human, which I think is kind of stupid. Now,
Yeah.
Stranger Worlds has gotten better with that, with showing aliens, but at least the Krill act like aliens, so I appreciate that. So the Krill grant them permission, but if they go into the space, there's something fishy, there's something demonic there. And they're like, "Do you have any proof of this?" And they're like, "No, it's in the Akara, which is basically their Bible." And of course, they worship their rental god Avis. So I thought that was very interesting, and we find out that Admiral Christie was Claire's ex of all things. So we kind of wonder why does he go and visit her? Why is he like wants to rekindle their relationship? Well, we find out that they've had a history and that he wanted a bed warmer and she wanted something more real. She wanted a relationship. She wanted something deeper. And he couldn't provide it because they're both very busy with their jobs. And so she gave him an ultimatum and he rejected it. And her heart got broken. And she worked really hard um she worked hard over time to fix or to bury those feelings. So right away there's a little bit of setup to something. They're setting something up.
Hmm.
And I thought it was very interesting. About you?
Yeah, I was looking at that. I was like, "Oh, okay, there has to be a reason why they're doing this." And then I almost thought that he was already infected or vulnerable when he showed up at first, and maybe he knows he's gonna die, and maybe that's why he's kind of showing up to try to rekindle some things. Obviously, they didn't go that route, but I could, I suspected something was up.
Yeah, it seemed like you would think something was up. Like, why did he want to come with them? Like, was it just that boring to be sitting behind the desk? Does he have Admiral Kirk syndrome where you're behind a desk too long to the point where you just want to be back out there in space exploring the galaxy? The best job ever, according to the original movies. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. Obviously, they were setting up something was going to happen. I wasn't sure if I honestly thought he was going to. I'll be honest. I thought he was going to die. I thought he was going to do something, save her or the kids. I mean, the first thing he asks is he's surprised, like, "You have kids?" He's
Yeah.
like, "With who?" And I think if I remember correctly, Claire doesn't have like her kids don't have a father. Like they just have a mother. She somehow managed to have two
Oh,
sons without a father.
yeah, I didn't know.
So
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
yeah, I forget how they did it. They explained it like in I think the last season. Um, so going back, so we obviously find out that Christie is Admiral Christie was her professor. So she kind of, she wanted to get a decent grade. So she kind of she fucked the professor.
Yeah.
And then of course they had a relationship. It was typical professor student female student type of thing. Something something else funny, and she literally says like, "Oh, what does she say? The forbidden anything forbidden
Forbidden.
is sweet."
Yeah, I like
So
that little line.
So let's go. So yeah. So once again, the Krill want rights to some sort of material for their propulsion system, in order for them to enter I think it's called the Calvar Expanse. And they're like, and once again, they're like, no, 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 don't go in there. The demons, things. I forget how exactly how they put it, but it's basically there's evil, there's gates to shadow realms. It's in the Ankara, but of course there's no proof. So they talk to Admiral Halsey, the main admiral, and he says yes, Ed, like, what do you think? Because he already talked to Christy. Christy's like, let's go in, let's do this.
Yeah.
Ed's like, you know what? Risk is our business. He doesn't say it like that, but he basically sounds like Captain Kirk in the original series when he says basically, risk is our business. That's why we're out there exploring. So we have to take the risk and go check it out.
Hmm.
So, and of course there was no proof to back up, so they didn't have much to go with. So the Krill depart, and it was funny. The Krill, they were like, like Admiral says, nice little platitude saying, it's great that we're doing this. I hope our relationship goes further. And they say a prayer in Krill, and they're like,
Oh,
and they're like, what does that mean? They're like, oh, we're praying, we're saying a prayer for those who are going to die, whose death is imminent, so to speak. I was like, oh, what is where? I'm like, what are they setting up? What's going to happen? Because we saw the trailer. We saw that they're entering this very dark void, and that they encounter these red glowy giant ships. We saw it in the trailer, so we're like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? So what do you think? At this point of the episode, what did you think they were setting up?
honestly, it was like up in there because I like how Ed was talking about like how they look at things as far different, like because it's like a religion to them, and we don't view the stuff like the same way. So their interpretation is going to be different. And later that he kind of referencing that, he's like, oh, that's exactly the way they would interpret it. Um, but I don't know. I was thinking, man, are they going to go like full on like zombie modes or like satanic type stuff? So that's instantly where I was going. But I was like, would they really do that in like a space type of movie or series or whatever? So it was really up in the air. I didn't think they were going to go this route, but
I honestly, have you ever seen the movie Event Horizon?
I don't think so.
I honestly thought they were going to go the Event Horizon route, where they encounter something that opens like a portal to like hell, or some Hellraiser type of place where these demons or where these extra dimensional entities exist, and they just completely consume your brain like they do in Event Horizon. Like, they basically turn people into monsters. They turned Sam Neill, who was, Jurassic Park, Dr. Grant. He's in that
Yeah.
movie, and he's a scientist. He's like the main doctor or something. He turns into like a monster. He turns into some sort of hellish evil creature that tries to kill everybody.
Okay, I have
So
seen it. I have seen it. Then
you
yeah,
see him with you see him like with the sewed up eyes or something. It's messed up. But that's honestly where I thought they were going with this. I thought Admiral Christie was going to be in the Sam Neill situation. Well,
yeah.
I was not wrong, but it wasn't quite like that. So let's keep going. They get to the star cluster. They get to that star cluster, and then they set course for the void, and there's no stars. It's completely dark. There's only been like a few episodes of Trek where they've encountered voids. Like there's the intergalactic void in between the Milky Way and Andromeda, where they go in the original series, where they basically get hijacked by this race called the Kelvins. And the Kelvins like have these little devices on their belt that turns people into little crystal things, so they can turn anyone within range into crystal. And if Kirk and Spock don't obey them, they'll take the crystal of their crew and just crush them and kill them. So it kind of made me think of that a little bit. But then there were Voyager episodes where they encountered like a void realm, where they were trapped in there, with other ships, and other ships had to basically cannibalize the other to survive. It's messed up. Just think about being in a void without any way of getting out is messed up. But in this
Yeah.
case, they're not in a realm. They're just simply in a part of space.
This remind me of I don't know if you've heard of this game called Warframe. They kind of deal with some of this stuff where like races will be taken over by like the satanic type stuff. It's basically it's a combination of like Halo and like Star Wars, Star Trek, and everything. But yeah,
I don't think I've played Warframe. Is it like Halo or something?
yeah, it's very similar. It's actually a free game, but you know they get you with all the attach on stuff, the
Yeah,
DLCs. But yeah, it's not bad. It's a grind fest, but it reminds me of this in a way. Then you can modify your being like on a molecular level in a way too.
yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot to it.
This also made me think of the Flood a little bit too, kind of. If you ever played Halo,
I've played Halo, but it's been a minute. Halo 2 is probably Halo 3 maybe.
yeah, the Flood are kind of like a virus. They look like little puffballs, but they look like little puffballs, and you have to shoot them, and there's like billions of them, and they infect. They basically infect and turn Covenant and regular people into evil creatures that need to be destroyed. So, kind of made me think of that too. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So, um, so here, so let me see. Where did we leave off? So they're entering the void, and they even say during the meeting with Admiral Halsey, Admiral Halsey's like, "Are you sure we want to do this?" Uh, he bears caution, unlike Admiral Christie. So he's like, what's the rule of a haunted house? Don't go in the haunted house stuff.
Yeah.
And of course Mercer's like, yeah, it's just like a horror movie. And for a second I thought they were going to reference a horror movie. Oh, speaking of movies, they referenced Star Wars because he couldn't think of anything for a pep talk, so he's like, we're going in, and may the force be with us.
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh, so Star Wars is a movie in the so Star Wars is a movie in this universe. Well, now that Disney is running Hulu, and Hulu now runs the Orville, so they're under the Disney banner. So,
Oh,
but
yeah.
so
They
far,
also they also say hello there when he has a dinner with what's her face? Finn or
yeah.
Claire. He shows up, he's like, hello. He doesn't go hello there, but he's like, hello there. I was like, okay, I think they're starting to do Star Wars stuff.
Oh, at least they didn't say, come here, my friend. Don't be afraid. Come here, my friend. Don't be afraid." Okay, so but yeah, that was so yeah, so we get so Ed's going to risk the exploration. So we're in a restaurant, and the Admiral Christie, basically interrupts Claire's dinner and joins her, and we find out the Admiral's coming along for the ride in the Expanse, and he gives her a ring, and then of course she gets uneasy. So she basically wants their interactions at this point to be purely professional, because even at this point, it's been 25 years, the hurt is still very deep for her. So even though this is a horror episode, I really love the characterization. So this episode is a clear episode in my opinion, and then the B plot's basically everything that's going on with the horror element and everyone dealing with that. Whereas, or maybe that's the B plot. I don't know. It's hard to tell. But it seems like the character focus is on Claire this time. So I thought last episode was focused on Claire, but it's was more of a focus on Charlie. But then it became a focus on her when Isaac committed suicide and did all that stuff last week. So we didn't see really much of Charlie do anything. She was just kind of there. Same with Gordon. Lamar got to shine in this one. Tala got to shine, and I'm trying to think. I don't remember who else got to. I don't know. And well, Isaac had a moment too, which was
Yeah,
very
yeah.
interesting. But we'll get to that. So basically he gives her a ring. There's this like ring that they had that they've had for a long time that they both keep. We learn what it is later, and he basically she tells him to leave. Like, just I don't want this to get any more personal and stuff. And so that's the end of the scene 2. And scene 3, they go in, they have the may the force be with you, and then they engage quantum drive. Um, there's a conversation between Isaac and Admiral Christie. So Admiral Christie goes to meet him, or goes to visit him in the astrophysics lab, and Christie asks Isaac what would make Claire happy, and he basically lists everything she likes, like it's like it was like reading, like just like reading um like planning like a business party or something like that. You're reading everything without any emotion. He's like, she likes kids, she likes her work, she likes this type of music, she likes this type of, she likes to be this in bed. And he's like, okay, all right, we don't need to go that far. And I loved how Isaac had the insight to say, we both share something in common. We both miss her. We both are affected by her absence, or we're both affected by her presence.
Yeah.
So at least, I forget how he puts it exactly. It's one of those. So, and then yeah, he just basically walks. I thought that was an interesting thing.
No, I
I
like
thought that
that
was an interesting
dynamic.
scene.
Yeah, because you know, one's basically pure on emotion or whatever. He's trying to figure out what's going on. Like he's, been dwelling on this for like 25 years and she's been doing it. She's kind of moved on. She has a kid and her obviously is like the most important thing in her life. She said, she would sacrifice herself for that. I think they have a discussion. Yeah, it's in this discussion about it, what she would do for her kids. But I like the sincerity, or just like how Isaac doesn't realize what he's saying. He kind of goes too far, like you're saying. He's kind of like doing a laundry list of things, and he's just like, "Whoa, wait, man, you're going a little too far." And it makes it awkward because they both slept with like the same woman or whatever, and yeah.
Yeah, fully, as Data would say, fully functional. So, um, I want to read this right here. Pop culture curator says, another scene with a weak man pining after a woman only to be turned down. What else is new? I don't think he was a weak man per se, but I mean, every human. I mean, I was able to buy it because every human being has some sort of longing in their life. There's something. There's always a regret or something that they didn't accomplish or something that they really want, and I feel like he's a human being with regrets, and him making the decision he did I mean, 25 years, people change quite a bit. I mean, in some ways, I mean, some ways they stay the same, but I feel that yeah, he's pining after a woman. He hurt her. He wants to make things right, and he regrets what he did. And she's moved on. I mean, I felt it was a very this is a very. I don't think he's weak. Think he's just another flawed human being like the rest of us.
Yeah, I agree, and I felt like it seemed pretty natural, the conversation. So I was okay with it.
So, just want to read this. When do we be fair and show a man turning down a woman? Uh, well, I'm sure we might see something in the future. I don't know, to be honest. We got Keith here. What's up, Keith? How you doing? He says the
But Keith,
best current Star Trek series in current production. I agree. I agree. I'm still going to watch Strange New Worlds tomorrow. I'm just not going to review. Just not going to review it because I just want to watch it and not have to take notes because taking notes is a pain. So, um, pop culture says you don't have to explain what love is. I'm talking about weak males in the show. Oh, oh. Once again, I didn't see it as weak, but I felt I felt like this gave his character some depth. So, and he was a new character, and I honestly, I I kind of cared about him enough. So I was already invested, and it's the show's responsibility. It's the writing of the show that's supposed to get us invested. I was invested. So, all right. So, do you have anything further to add on that before we move on?
no, I felt like it was pretty natural, and it kind of made sense narratively. Like it works out well. Like
Yeah.
everything's, especially towards the end. Like I
Yes.
really felt the impact from it.
Hmm. So they Okay, so they go into the void, and or they're about to go into the void. They're at the bright star cluster, and they compare the bright star cluster to Vegas. And they do a scan of the of the sector of all, like there's like 500 planets. There's like 5 or 6 or 700 planets, and there's all a bunch of there's life, but it's non-intelligent species. And Gordon's like, just like Vegas. Gordon's like, yeah, nice little quip right there. So there's humor. The humor is just a little bit more subtle.
Yeah.
Well, okay, that wasn't quite subtle, but it was a nice little quip. I thought it was funny. Um, so so once again they go into the void. The void extends 800 parsecs, and so in other words, they're entering the haunted house. I'm thinking, don't go in there, but they went in there because exploration. You gotta be brave. You gotta be brave. Um, so they basically approach a massive glowing red object in space, and it looked menacing. Like it looked like it had like little it had like little claws. It had like it was shaped kind of like this, like an arachnid,
Yeah.
and it curved so to make it even look even more menacing. And I'm like, oh no, what's going to happen? Then they take a shuttle. They decide, okay, we're going to take a shuttle. We don't read anybody aboard, so we're going to take a shuttle. We're going to go over there anyways. And so when they're going over there, and it's like the mouth of it opens up, it made me think of Star Trek: The Motion Picture. So I said to people, like, imagine if Star Trek: The Motion Picture was a horror movie. Now there were horror elements in that movie. There was stuff that was messed up in that movie, but it wasn't a horror. It was ultimately wasn't a horror movie. It was a very uplifting movie at the end. But what if it was? What if the V'ger was an evil entity that just wanted to lure unwitting victims to become creatures, creatures of pure evil? So
Yeah.
that's what I thought.
See, I didn't even pick up on it at first. I was like, oh man, this place looks creepy. But I didn't even get like the dynamic or look of it. Obviously, it was like kind of darker and had like the red in it. And to
Yes.
me, it's just like red flag, don't go in there. And then it opens up. I'm like, oh no, is this thing going to be an actual animal itself and just like influence people in a like sadistic way?
Yeah.
Or, but it kind of turned, what do they eventually they just get infected by air or like the molecules in the air or something like that.
There was some sort of there was like some sort of virus, or I forget how they put it, but there was some sort of biomatter that infected them. So they get on board so they basically dock on the station. They get on board. Of course, I'll say I'll give this I'll hit this is one thing I thought they misdid, which is something you would expect, like shows like Star Wars, like the Kenobi, or even New Trek to do. Um, I thought that I thought it was kind of I thought they were kind of naive going into into this strange place that they don't know nothing about without any protection. Because I mean, there could be viruses, there could be physical stuff, but there could also be biological or stuff that could invade your body. And apparently it was. So there was a bit of a like. Have you ever seen the movie Prometheus or
Yeah, yeah,
Alien Covenant? You ever seen those movies?
yeah.
The big complaint about those movies is how stupid the characters are by getting themselves infected when they didn't have to be. Whereas unlike Alien, they had no idea what they were going into, and in Alien they were fully suited up, but even that didn't protect them. So in some ways, this was probably the one thing I would complain about this episode was the naivety that they had.
Yeah, I agree because then they say they check they're like, okay, we're able to breathe on there, but the
Yes,
place still looks a little funky, so some type of protection would have been nice.
because
And
I mean, yeah, like at first you would think this was a virus episode, because one of the standard Star Trek tropes, there's episodes where the entire crew gets infected by a virus, and it's usually because of something that was beyond their control. Like there was an episode called "The Naked Time" in the original series, where Spock and this other lieutenant go down, and they're already suited up. They're already suited up, and they're investigating why all these people committed suicide. and one of the lieutenant had like an itchy nose, so he takes off his glove, rubs his nose, and then touches the surface of a table, and he touches some liquid that he brings back to the ship, and they all get infected, and everybody acts drunk. That was basically the episode of Naked Time.
Hmm.
So that was just like, it was a dumb mistake on the lieutenant's part, and of course the lieutenant ultimately died for that, committed suicide in the episode. But in this case, in this case, there was really no excuse for them to go in without suits. Now, the second time they went in the admiral got infected. So like there was an alien moment where they encountered these little, I don't know how would you describe it? It was hard for me to write down and describe what those things on the wall were. They were like looked like little plumes, or not plumes, but like petals that were ready to open up, like flower petals in the wall.
Yeah,
And
they almost look like little wounds, just like opening up, and like
like
I
a
don't know what.
like a blackhead, or like a blackhead on a face or something.
Yeah, pretty much. Just
I'm a
yeah,
Zed, get it? Animal
yeah,
House. If you ever seen that?
yeah.
So one of them opens. So the admiral and Mercer are looking at it, and it opens up, and nothing happens. So it just opens up right in the face of the admiral. He just sees it, and nothing happens. So once they get back to the ship with the admiral, then they go to the astrophysics, try to figure out what's going on. They're about to leave, and all of a sudden the admiral goes into a seizure, starts shaking, and his face starts getting deformed, and he starts growing black eyes on his forehead. I'm like, oh, he's turning into a bug or something. That's the
Yeah,
first thing
yeah.
I thought. He's turning into like a fly creature. So, like you said, the fly. So, so are like, okay, so he got infected. So here's another issue I have. Um, Mercer was right next to him. How do we know Mercer didn't get infected? Besides plot armor.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's probably it. They probably didn't think much. Maybe. Well, we don't really ever see the gas how you know how far it expands. Maybe it's more focused, like
Yeah,
straightforward, rather than expanding like air and whatever else. That's the only thing I can think of.
yeah, it's something I would need to rewatch the episode to see, because as far as when I think of, when something goes onto the air, it just like it starts to spread gradually, gradually, gradually. And Ed was like, I don't remember if Ed was right next to him or if he was like quite a ways away, but they were looking at the same wall. So I'm kind of curious. This is something I would have to rewatch, but that's another issue I had. So with that, so so the admiral gets sick. I was like, okay, this is what they're building towards. So my question was, is he going to die, or is he going to get cured?
Yeah.
Those were the two outcomes that I had in my head. So so we go into so they take him they take him to the bay, and let me see. They take him to the we find out that they take him to the medical bay, and we find out that his DNA is being rewritten. So once again, it makes me think of the Star Trek TNG episode Evolution, where their DNA is being rewritten. They kind of go back to an earlier state of evolution or something, I think, if I remember correctly. So of course we see more black eyes in the forehead, and apparently they say the bioscanners missed something. So that's kind of why they screwed up. But honestly, I mean, you have to take my opinion, better precautions before going on board an unknown, body in space. So they go back in environmental suits this time, and they investigate those flowers on the wall. I'll call them that. Those things. And we find out that they were they were lured there by a distress. There was a distress call, so that's how they were drawn there in the first place. Well, the distress call changed. Now all of a sudden, it's providing a homing signal, so something is coming. So you're kind of wondering, oh, what's going to happen? Are they going to what's going to happen? What does this mean? Does this mean that they want to kill everyone on the ship? Are they going to steal everybody? What's going on? So I thought I was kind of I got a little scared. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no, I was like, oh man, they're going like this far into it, or it's starting to get intense. The whole ship starting to get starts getting in effect. Well, they go back and find out somewhat of how to fix it, I guess, right? But not
Yeah.
quite. And then it just starts getting overwhelming. I'm like, oh wow, this is getting that intense. Like
Hmm.
I thought they were gonna contain it more so, and then obviously it seems like we're gonna get like part two or part three or however on this. Or
So
yeah,
we get one final conversation between Christy and Claire, and he basically she's basically like, I'm gonna help you. You're gonna get better, and you're gonna get well, and you're gonna have my chocolate souffle. And they have a nice little. I did not like your chocolate souffle. It was awful.
yeah,
And she's like, well, if you don't get better, I'm gonna make you eat it. I'm gonna make you eat it and stuff. And he tells her, I want, if something happens to me, I keep this ring on me at all times. So I think he gets knocked, he faints or he passes out, and then she puts the ring on him. And then shortly after that, so we find out that it was a bacterial spore. It was some sort of bacterial spore that caused um, that caused Christie's transformation. So by the time Claire finds out, she looks over and he's gone. He vanished. He's off the table. He's no longer on the medical table. And right after that, security, she notifies security. Then all of a sudden, the ship's power goes out. And they can't get it back on. Bortus and the crew are locked out. So the admiral used his high level command codes to shut down all the power. So there's no so now it looks like a horror movie now. So like the corridors are complete. It's dark. It's dark on the ship, and the corridors are completely like it's like there's no one on the ship. The corridors are completely empty. So I'm like, where is I'm like, where is everybody? So, but they're trying to create the horror thing. So I guess because I think there's like 200 people on the Orville. So I mean, you figure there would be people in the quarters. I guess everybody's just holding up in their quarters, I guess. So
something. That's what I thought was interesting. It's like, yeah, where did everyone go? But I
yeah.
like how the fact they didn't make these possessed human beings or creature or alien people like dumb, right? They were very smart. Like, the admiral used this card thing to override everything. They actually seemingly knew how to fight, which I think they did pretty well as far as like the action in this.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Oh yeah, the action was pretty intense, but we'll get to that. So so like so the power goes out, and the first thing Claire does is she leaves the sick bay. She leaves that one nurse, I forget his name. She leaves the nurse by himself, and she tries to go to the quarters to check on her children. By the time she gets there, the kids are gone. What's funny is um the kids are on their way to sick bay, we find out. But while that's going on, the nurse is by himself, and he hears a sound. He hears like a click. I don't know if it's a clicking sound, but he hears like he hears a buggy sound. And he goes to investigate. He turns on the light. He goes and investigates it. And any good horror fan will know, you don't go investigate the ominous. You don't go and investigate the ominous sound or whatever. That usually means you're gonna die, or in this case a fate worse. In this case, a fate worse than death. So the nurse gets tackled by Admiral Christie, who is now a complete bug creature, and we don't see what happens to him yet. We don't see. We just it cuts to the next scene. So um so so once again we go to so what do you think of that? I honestly thought the bug guy killed the nurse.
I maybe I was thinking of another scene, but I thought it was probably someone else, but they sprayed the guy and he turned like instantly to it was probably a different person, right? Like he sprayed someone, we instantly saw them change into bug form.
Yeah,
So
it was the guy that runs into the kids. So
okay.
so the kids are looking for Claire. They go to the sick bay. She's not there, but he was in the office, or some creature. No, it was the nurse creature that was in the office. Okay. It was the nurse creature that was in the office that's stalking them. They go to the galley, they're looking, and then they hear the creature and they hide. And I
Mm.
had Jurassic Park vibes from that. I don't know about you. I got Jurassic Park vibes from that.
Yeah, like the Velociraptor kind of looking around for the kids, like in the first
Yes.
one, and they're kind of ducking. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and of course they're hearing clicking, and all of a sudden they run into someone. It's another crewman, but it's a crewman we don't know. So I was like, oh, he's the red shirt. He's going to be a red shirt. How do I know? Well, I did. I was like, is he going to be a new character? Will he survive? I was thinking, no. So, and I was right. I was right because the moment they were about to leave, the creature basically tackles the dude, sprays bile, like spits bile on his face, and then he turns right away, like right away into another bug creature. So you're kind of curious. So here's the thing: they can reproduce rapidly. Holy crap! How many of these things are there? I was surprised at how many of these things there were on the ship. To be honest, because what ultimately happened was they end up so now we know that there's three, and after we see that, and Lamar is basically in the tubes, in the Lamar's in the tubes trying to get the auxiliary power back online. So he has Isaac with him helping him, and it made me think of Alien again, where Captain Dallas is in the little in the ventilation system looking for the alien with the incinerator unit, and I was like, oh, what's going to happen? And let's just say Lamar had a close call.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, Lamar, he got really lucky because he got away with like he hit some type of air thing and where he couldn't see, and then he happened to lock himself in that, you know, that plasma shield or whatever that was that blocked the, creatures. But yeah,
Yeah,
the
I thought
action was. I was gonna say the action was shot pretty well there. Like, it worked pretty well.
oh yeah, I was scared. I was on edge the whole time. So at least it worked in the horror sense. So the creature chases Lamar. It grabs him, and I forget what he does, but he causes steam to go, so he's able to escape. But then there's like another. There's two after him. There's two climb. They're freaking climbing. They're running along the walls, and he gets to the brig, and he basically locks himself in. He locks himself in he locks himself in one of the cells, the holding cells. Luckily they didn't remember how to unlock the cells, because he would have been screwed
Yeah,
otherwise.
yeah,
So I guess there's very little memory of what they are. I mean, there's some memory as we find out, but there's very little memory based on what we're seeing. And I think then Kiali comes and she lures them away, and she takes a couple of them. She they get to There's a nice little big fight in the cargo bay, and I thought it was pretty intense because they were even and like Kiali is like a super saiyan. She's got like she's like Khan. She's like a super. The Salayans are very strong. Like they have 5 times the gravity on their planet, so they have 5 times the strength. So you would think that it would be easier for her to take these guys on, but they're not. They were giving her a run for her money, and they were trying to, and of course, at the same time, they were trying to spit the stuff. They were trying to spit the stuff at her. So once again, the spitting the stuff also made me think of Alien as well as The Exorcist, believe it or not. Because in the Alien's case, it's like sulfuric acid; it'll burn your face off, kill you.
yeah.
Whereas in this case, it will mutate you. It will mutate you, so it's even worse because you freaking lose yourself. That's in my opinion, it's a fate worse than death.
Yeah, it's almost cheap. I was thought also Dragon Ball Z reference like Deborah when he shoots it at you, you turn into stone. But this, you're like instant zombie mode, and I'm like,
Yeah.
gosh, that's pretty intense. It's just like the
Yes.
smallest thing infects you. But no, yeah, the action scene with her, she was just wrecking shop. Then it shot pretty well, and I liked how the monsters could actually, defend themselves in a way, and they
Yeah,
they moved both like a human being at points, but then also moved like a creature when they're on the walls and crawling around. So
yeah, move
yeah,
like bugs, like
yeah.
really quick bugs and stuff. So, um, Zach says I haven't watched this episode yet, but leaving a like. Well, thank you. Yeah, do not stay because we're spoiling the shit out of this. We're spoiling the shit out of this episode right now. You don't want us to spoil this. It's a good horror episode. It'll keep you on. It'll keep you on the edge of your seat. So so yeah, so where were we at? So we're getting close. So Claire is trying to make a counter agent to this virus, bacteria, whatever. And apparently, I guess she does not. She's not able to make one because there's too little of them left. Like the only thing that's really left is like their white blood cells because it's
Yeah.
taking the toll. It's taking a really huge toll on their body. So the thing is, if they did something as simple as like a simple virus, like a common cold or something, it could kill them. So
Hmm.
there's really no other choice but either for them to um, die or for them to leave, and that was the choice that had to be. That was a choice that had to be made. So Claire, it goes along with a security detail, Bordis, and a bunch of people. They take out a bunch of a bunch of creatures at the engineering entrance, and they confront Christie because he has the ring. Because the creature has the ring, they scan for the ring. The ring is in engineering, and that's how they find him. And she appeals to him to leave, or and of course the creature is like, no, we're going to turn you all into us. At least that's how I interpreted what he said.
He's like, I am not Paul
I
anymore.
am I am better.
Is that what he says? I am,
Yeah,
but
he's like, I am better. And we're going
yeah.
to make you better too. Kind of like the Borg. The Borg were like that. Had that thought process. Hey, we're here to make you more perfect. We're here to become more perfect, and we're going to make you perfect too, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
So, and then I like how Claire's like, if you don't, we're gonna start eradicating you. We're gonna release the virus starting here in engineering. And he calls her bluff, and she calls it, and then he's like, okay, fine, we'll leave. And then it cuts to them. They're already out of space, and she's sitting in the restaurant alone again. But this time Isaac goes to join her, and he's like, do you want me to he's like, I'm here to check on you because this is what happens when you go through a traumatic thing. And she's like, oh, I'm fine. And he's like, okay. And he's about to leave. She's like, wait. She's like, wait, we did find out that we cannot go into we cannot go into that part of space is now restricted because of what happened. No more going into that part of space. So, by the way, I know I skipped ahead. So, there was another ship that came. There was another ship that showed up, and it was basically waiting for the creatures and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming so that we find out that the signal was basically a mating call. And so I guess seeing those all the creatures, all of Admiral Christie's bug people that he turned into bug people, I guess they all went to join that ship or something. And I think he made an ominous statement before he left. He's like, "We'll be back," or "This isn't over." I think didn't he say? I believe he said, "This isn't over." So it kind of makes
Yeah.
me wonder if they're going to follow this up.
Yeah. That's what I was that's what I was thinking, at least a part 2 or part 3, or kind of make it linger on into like later seasons. Um, you know, Even with, Isaac's race, how they're kind of in the background at this point, but that's what I think they're going to kind of do. But what I really appreciate about this episode, they didn't wrap it up. Like they didn't find a solution like in this episode. They kept
No,
it going. So that's what I think that's going to make it more exciting when they encounter them again. Maybe they do come up with some type of cure, but it's not looking like that. because their genetic code is entirely, too far gone. So I did
Yeah,
appreciate that fact that they're just like they're going to do something with this storyline.
I hope so. I mean, that's one thing I liked about TNG, especially after season 3, but even with season 2, like they started writing storylines that were more open ended, and then they basically they continued them, and usually either later in the season or the following season, and they were
Yeah.
all very good episodes. And I mean, it really kind of stopped after season 6, but DS9 continued that tradition. Voyager, I don't believe Voyager did too, to a degree, not so much. It was more episodic. Enterprise went completely serialized in season 3, and then season 4 they had a bunch of story arcs that connected to the original series. So, but then after that there was no real Trek after that until, well, the Orville.
Yeah.
So, um, so I don't know any. I thought this was a decent episode. I know there were issues there were the issues that I pointed out. Um, I honestly wondered. My question was, did they just cut to the next scene without showing how the aliens got back to their? How did the aliens get to the ship? Did they give them a shuttle? Did they jump into space? What did they didn't have? They don't have beaming, so you can't beam in the Orville. So I'm kind of wondering how they left. That was one other thing that I think
I
suffered too.
Yeah, that's a good point. I took it as in film where they're just like we don't need to see everything. This episode was an hour and 6 minutes. The last one was like an hour and 10 minutes, I think.
Roughly,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. So I just took it as one of those things. Maybe they showed enough of other stuff, and that's probably not that pivotal or important on how they left. We just know they left, and we see the spaceship. So
Yeah.
who knows? Yeah, because like you would think that spaceship too, like they could still attack the Orville.
Yeah.
They're semi or they're intelligent, and I'm questioning. So he seems like Admiral Christie now he's an alien or whatever species he is. Do you think like moving forward he's actually going to be like in charge of that race, or it's going to be just there's people
I
already
hope so.
established? Yeah,
Well, I don't. I hope so. I hope so, or something like that. I hope we see him back with the ring. He's got the ring, so they can
yeah,
identify him, assuming he keeps the ring on.
that's
So,
true.
but yeah, I hope so. I love the nerd in me likes consistency, so I hope to see. We hope to see him again. Maybe there will be a solution. Maybe he can come back. Maybe. I mean, I like to think there's hope. I just wanted to address it. So, new guest, Fractured Vision, what's up? Um, Fractured Vision says they are not happy with the. They're not. He's not happy. They're not happy to say it, but this was a dumb episode. I don't think this was a dumb episode, but this episode did have its problems. It had some problems equivalent to, once again, Prometheus and Alien Isolation, Alien Covenant. Alien Isolation was a very good game, very scary video game. But I do know that this episode had its problems. But the best part I think was the whole Claire, the character narrative with Claire, and us learning a little bit more about her was the most interesting part of the episode. The horror stuff I felt wasn't executed as well as it could have been,
I think
in my opinion.
I agree with you. I like it, but I feel like the score could have been a little bit more menacing or just more creepy, I guess. I feel like it would definitely enhance with all the lights turning off and them being in the hallway scenes. I like the way it was like more so shot, but I think the score would have been if it could have been better, the score.
So nothing like nothing like that, huh? Um,
Yeah, yeah. Maybe like a I don't know how far they would want to go with that because you still got to make it feel like the Orville, but you still
I
want to
would have
have
thought they
that.
would have, because Jerry Goldsmith also did the Aliens. He did the original Alien soundtrack too. So you would think that they would probably, because he did that and he did motion picture the same freaking year. Those two movies were done, had the same composer. So you would think that they would try to make it sound like an Alien soundtrack, because
Mm,
this was, I mean, this was a sci-fi horror, and to me, Alien and Event Horizon are the pinnacle of sci-fi horror, at least in space.
yeah.
So um Yeah, I agree. I feel I'd have to rewatch the episode to really listen because I barely remember it. The only thing I thought that was great was the creepy the creepy bug sounds or the clicking sounds or whatever the sounds that the creature makes to indicate that it's close or it's there. So to give you a sense of tension, that I liked, that I did like. So that sound was pretty. I think the sound in that department was pretty good. But
Yeah.
yeah, the music I can agree with. So, but last week I gave I think I don't even remember what I gave the Orville last week. I think I gave it 11 or 12 out of 10 because I really liked it. So I gave it a higher than 10 score. This week's episode, I'd give it, with the problems it had, about 7.5 out of 10. Satisfactory, good on a 10 out of 10 on the Claire story, but maybe a 7.5 on the horror side. So maybe ultimately 8.5 out of 10 altogether.
Gotcha.
About you?
Yeah, I last week, I think I gave the first episode an 8, but I was coming off right, like I haven't seen the first episode twice, but I came off hot right before and went on to PJ stream. Um, so I'd probably rank that a little higher, maybe about 8.5 ish or 8.3, somewhere around there. But this one was a little bit weaker, but there are some points I like about this than compared to the last one. This one to me wasn't as predictable, like as far as the ending on like stuff I could predict. So which I like, but first episode obviously a shebanger. So I'd probably give this, you know, probably like 7.8, just under an 8. Like I like it, but
Yeah.
the first one was just really high note for me.
All right, so here we have Mark D with C. What's up? Thanks for coming by. He says, "Hail everyone! I give this episode a thumbs down. Some good elements, but didn't come together in the end." I kind of agree. I agree. I like we were talking about earlier. I do agree. It does need 10 more minutes in the end to better explain the new alien race and how they just freaking left the how did they even leave the ship? Like, what did they
Yeah.
do? What was arranged? I mean, they just said leave, and then I guess they're gone. So yeah, so this was definitely a weaker episode. I wouldn't give this a thumbs down per se, um, but this was definitely not as good as last week's. I agree with that.
I'll tell you
So I
what
would,
though, not to get off topic, it's a little bit easier. It was a lot easier to watch this than Star Wars right now.
well, yeah, I watched
Yeah.
I watched Kenobi today, and I spotted so many errors. I spotted so many errors in execution. I was like, mm. I mean, there was a cool moment. Spoiler alert: there was a cool moment with the lightsaber that I really liked. Lightsaber in the dark. Lightsaber in the dark is a cool effect. I'll say that. But other than that, everything else was just. It's hard to imagine. It's a Star Wars. It was imagine. It's hard. I won't say anything more about it because I don't think everyone in the chat has seen it. So we do not
Yeah.
speak of Kenobi. Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Sure. So, but yeah. So, any final thoughts before we conclude the stream?
Um, I'll say that I think what the Orville does nice is like they gave us this storyline, which I think they're gonna use later on, especially with the love interest, Claire has. Um, is like I can't really, you can never really predict what's gonna happen or which direction they're gonna go. Do we have the new title for the next episode? Um,
Yeah. Let me look. I forget. Oh, let me see. They have the title for the first 5 episodes. Orville
yeah.
New Horizons. I like how Google still calls it a comedy drama series instead of science fiction, but that's just me. Next episode's called Mortality Paradox. Mortality Paradox is the name of the next episode 3. Then episode 4 is called Gently Falling Rain. And then episode 5 is a Mocklin episode, and it's a tale of two topas. Oh, I know who wrote this episode. You know who wrote this episode? Brandon Braga and Andre Bormanis, two Trek veterans. Brandon Braga ran Voyager and Enterprise, and Andre Bormanis is the science consultant for Trek and for this show. So that's yeah. So it's kind of disappointing that they wrote the episode and it kind of came off this way. And of course, John, what was his name? John Kasser, who was the co-creator of 24, was the director of this episode. So Seth MacFarlane and John Kasser are the only directors of this season. So last week it was all Seth MacFarlane. He wrote the episode and he directed the episode. It was a great episode. So it's a bit disappointing to know that. But so I understand fractured vision. He says next episode we're almost a third through the season. Yeah, we're 10. We're I think it's 10 episodes. 10 or I don't remember. I think it's 10 episodes this season. I thought it was 11, but I'm thinking maybe now it's 10. So yeah, it's I still consider the Orville New Horizons an episodic series. I'm sure they're going to encounter the Kalon again. Of course, they're building up to something with that, and we'll see we'll see what happens with the Mocklins, and who knows who else will return. So I can't wait to see what they'll follow up on from last couple of seasons and what new storylines they're going to do. And I hope that this storyline with these fly people, these demonic fly people, will come back. So I'm with you, Tim, on that. So once again, I give this, I might lower my, now that I think about it, maybe an 8 out of 10, 7.5 out of 10. I still say this is a good episode, but it's not the best. I mean, there could have been things better. So it's not the best Orville episode. Things didn't really wrap up well. And it's just suffered the Alien Covenant Prometheus type of problem, in my opinion, with how they got, with how the storyline came to. So, and of course, Jerry Swiggs is here. What's up? How you doing? I haven't seen you around in a while. And Andre isn't good with story structure. I have to look up what episodes he wrote. Raga should have been the story structure guy, is also usually good with dialogue, not showing it in this episode. Yeah, I mean, I'd have to rewatch it to get a better idea. But other than that, next week, episode 3, going to do the same thing. Chat. Spock and Pacific weren't able to join tonight, so hopefully next week they're joined. They'll be my regular guests. And Tim, I'm glad that you came on. It was cool having you on for the first time. Love to have you on again. And
yeah, for sure. I got to get you on my channel as well. Maybe talk Kenobi at some point. I know you probably want the best time talking, but yeah.
I was not going to watch Kenobi, but my brother grew up on the prequels. I mean, I saw the prequels too, but I was older. But my brother was a kid when the prequels came out, so he really wanted to watch Kenobi. And he's not a fan of the new Disney Star Wars, but he wanted to check out Kenobi. So he reestablished his Disney Plus subscription, and I was like, oh, we're seeing episode. I think we're seeing episode 8 again with what they're doing with Kenobi. So
yeah,
and they're already 2/3 of the way through, and it's like, I'm like, why is this? Why are these things happening? In my opinion, it doesn't fit with Star Wars, the original movie.
Yeah, so canon means nothing anymore in Star Wars. That's what it seems like. But yeah.
So let's hope that the Orville improves next week. Hopefully they'll follow up on some storylines. I know this episode was a horror episode. I guess this was something that they always wanted to do, because I don't think Orville ever did a horror episode before. So for a horror episode, it was I was tense. It was still entertaining, but yeah, the writing had problems, and I agree. So other than everybody, so Tim, do you have anything you want to promote? Anything you want to share?
Sure. Yeah, Kenobi at 7:30 p.m. ET. I do roundtable style, and then we break down the scenes with slides. And I might do a Kenobi watch party next week. I don't know. And really digging the boys, but that's pretty much it. Thanks for having me. Oh, do you like the boys as well?
I saw the first 2 seasons. I thought season 2 was a bit of a step down. So I'm hoping to see. I heard like the boys is nothing compared to the source material. Like there's so many things they could have done with the source. They could have adapted the source material to make some of these awesome scenes, and that they didn't do it. Like they turned it into like a CW type of show where there's not a whole lot of action. There's more talking and talking and talking, which is a Marvel problem too with Marvel shows. So
I can agree with that. I do like the first 3 episodes on season 3. The first one, I'll warn you, like very questionable at the start, but it's great what they do with it.
Brian Skate says, Kenobi watch party. Why do you hate people? Why do you hate people?
I gotta get my watch hours up, like, and all that. So, and I want to do some different stuff with my channel. I keep saying I'm gonna do different stuff, so gotta experiment a little bit.
So did they release the entire Boys season, or are they releasing it episode by episode?
Well, they did something different. They dropped the first 3 episodes, and then now they're dropping one each week.
Oh, okay. Okay, so how many episodes are there going to be? Do you know? Is it going to be like 10?
Uh, Probably. I think I don't remember how long the last season. Maybe 8 to 10, somewhere around there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So all right. So I have to watch The Boys. I watched the first 2 seasons. I know season. I was surprised season 3 is already out. So well, not already out. I forgot about the. I'll be honest. I forgot about The Boys. It's not until everyone started talking about it, like, oh, it's back on. So it was just one of those shows I watched because everybody talked about it, and then I watched it, and then I kind of forgot. I'll be honest, I kind of forgot about it. So, all right, I'll have to check that out because I'm pretty much I'm all caught up. I watched Stranger Things. I thought that was season 4 was so freaking good,
Oh
and I can't
yeah.
wait for volume 2. So, but for me, I just today I released a Mario 64 retrospective. So if you're a fan of Nintendo, if you're a fan of Super Mario, if you're a fan of Nintendo 64, check out my Mario 64 retrospective. Some of the chat when I premiered it said it was the best Nerporeal retrospective yet. So I'm getting better in my craft. Um, I hope it's true, but I'm humbled. I'm humbled that I was told that. So check that out. I put a lot of work in. I finished it this morning. And I had a massive headache after doing it because I was just like looking at the computer editing for like hours. I did it all day yesterday. It's a 52-minute thing. It took me forever to
Holy crap.
edit it. So, but my next retrospect is going to be even longer. I'm doing Ocarina of Time next. Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, and that's going to be an even longer video. That's probably going to be an hour and a half to 2 hours. So
Yeah.
depending on how much I write.
You might eventually want to, like, you know, do it in part 1, part 2, part 3 to break it down after you drop, like, I guess for like more content.
I did that with Super Mario RPG. Actually, I divided into 2 parts, and then I did a full version after that. So I have 3.
Mm.
So I have 3. It definitely helped with the watch hours. I'll say that. So, but yeah, every week I do Orville streams. I do after shows because I plan on watching the episodes the moment they drop at 11 o'clock Central. And then depending on how long the episode is, whether it's an hour, 10 minutes, I plan to do after shows every week until I can't do it anymore. So I plan to do this every week. I get a different special guest star and maybe some returning guest stars. And Tim, I was really happy with this conversation, so I'm glad. I'd like to have you on again. I'd love to
Yeah,
have you
I'm
on again
definitely down.
before the end of the season. So, so that expect that, and I'm trying to think what else. I'm trying to think what else I'm going to do. But other than that, follow me on social media. I have my Twitter handle is @Nerdporeal. Instagram is Nerdporeal Lifeform, one word, not the Nerdporeal Lifeform, just Nerdporeal Lifeform, one word. So follow me there too. And yeah, I have a Discord. So if you are part of, I have my own server. If you want to join my Discord, the link is below. Everybody subscribe to Tim's Talk. His link is below in the description. And other than that, everybody, have a good rest of your night and rewatch I'm going to go and rewatch the episode right now. So other than that, everybody, live long and prosper, and may the wings of Nerdporeals carry you all to the next episode of the Orville, and hopefully it'll be as good as the first episode. Take care.